if you read the Bible, it's all about, or not all about, but a lot of it has to do with, and there's passages specifically on the wise person versus the fool. And a wise person has a much bigger knowledge base and applies the knowledge well.
Mm-hmm.
And what a lot of people, when they're young, that feeling, that's infatuation. And they think it's love. It's not exactly what love is. Love is a choice. What you're really saying when you say I love you is I welcome you, I invite you into my presence, I appreciate you, I'm not judging you.
You're missing one word. Accept.
I accept you. 1, 2, 3, go.
Jennifer Hardy, har.
Believe it or not.
Welcome to the Lawyer Dana Show.
The Lawyer Dana podcast.
Wow, we have a lot to talk about.
And we're going to do it right after this.
Welcome to the Lawyer Dana podcast.
Alexandria OC.
Yeah, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a
I'll let
self-avowed
you
socialist.
say it much better than I do.
Yes. It's the Latino thing.
So you sound Latino.
Yeah. You don't look Latino, but you sound Latino. It's very good.
So she said that we should be taxed at 90%. So hold on. So then you tax me at 90%, and then you take 8% sales tax. I mean, what do you not own?
Government is good. Government is good. Government. They're mind-numbed robots,
so
man.
I'll say this for everyone. 1984 by George Orwell is not an instruction manual.
No.
But we're living it. We're living it.
We are.
Everything is really Orwellian these days.
So, married.
Yes.
Children.
3 children, yes.
How long you been married?
23 years.
You might want to get quicker with that when you're
I know.
fast.
I had to do the quick calculation, 23 years.
Healthy marriage?
Yep.
What do you do?
As far as I know.
So, so this is me now. It's a little bit of work on healthymarriage.com. Is what helps you to have and continue to have a healthy marriage?
Faith.
And are you in good or are you in great?
I'm one of these guys who always believes you can improve. So, and
Know anybody like that?
Amen to that.
it can always be better.
Yeah.
Yes.
But living the dream.
We need to give him Kareth's book.
Yeah.
You can either be perfect or you can be happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I agree with you.
Living the dream. We're fulfilling some dreams right now. Some things are coming true. And the reason why I believe our marriage has lasted as long as it has is because we've had that third partner. Without a grounding in faith, the marriage wouldn't have. My marriage.
Yours too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, mine too.
Oh yeah.
I agree with that.
You've got to have that third partner that through the tough times when you just want to. I'm speaking for my wife now. When she wants to wring my neck, it's that faith that says, no, I loved him for a reason, and I made a commitment to God. And it's once you say, okay, I made my commitment to God, and then you get over that hump, and then you realize, oh, well, this is the reason why we stayed married. Mm-hmm. So that's what happens.
You always get over those humps.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's called, the humps are called life. And once you recognize that life is throwing everything it can at you, and the grounding and the partnership is what's going to get you through it.
Is your marriage what you thought it would be when you?
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yours?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Yours?
No
it's
way.
not. Disney's a liar.
Yes.
There's no such thing as the happily ever after just magically happens. No, it's a series of intentional decisions to strengthen your marriage and do things that make you result in that appreciation and infatuation, that what most people interpret as love, or what most young, if you read the Bible, it's all about, or not all about, but a lot of it has to do with, and there's passages specifically on the wise person versus the fool. And a wise person has a much bigger knowledge base and applies the knowledge well. Mm-hmm. And what a lot of people, when they're young, that feeling, that's infatuation. And they think it's love. It's not exactly what love is. Love is a choice. What you're really saying when you say I love you is I welcome you, I invite you into my presence, I appreciate you, I'm not judging you.
You're missing one word. Accept.
I accept you.
Yeah.
I accept.
Yes.
And that's the heart. it took me a while.
Yeah.
And it took my wife a while.
Yep.
I'm not, see, because there's this idea you had about marriage, right?
Yeah.
And I've got my partner, I chose my partner, and I want to conform my partner to what my vision was.
Right.
Instead of accepting who my partner is.
And conforming your vision to who your partner really is.
Exactly.
And then you work together in harmony and both grow together in wisdom and happiness and in joy and in life and in love and in the blessing that the world is.
Accepting
Right.
who you married once the goggles came off, once the rose-colored glasses came off, and you got to living and life. Once you say, oh, I have to work on accepting that, then everything else, I don't want to say it becomes easy, but everything else is fundamental
Right.
at that point. Everything else is,
It's work.
yeah. Well, every marriage is.
Yeah.
And that's
Well, the
another
people that don't want to put in the work
Yeah.
are getting the results that
Right.
are congruent with that
But see,
amount
I'm
of work
23
and
years
effort.
married, and it took me a long time to come to that
Summer
conclusion.
and I, we just had our 13th wedding anniversary, so we celebrated 12 happy years.
Congratulations.
Do the math.
Do the math.
The first year's rough.
First year.
Yeah.
It's not like all sunshine and roses like everybody thinks it is.
No,
It's
because
rough.
you have these expectations, and they have these expectations, and they don't match, and you don't know that.
And your lifestyles,
Yes.
Yeah.
you know? Whereas that kind of drives me nuts that you leave that particular dish on the counter instead of putting it into the dishwasher. But I was just going to fill it up in about 5 minutes. I mean, I had just set it down there for a second, and it's like back when we were younger, those little discussions could go into full-blown arguments. And then you get to be 23 years of marriage, it's like, okay, what the hell? Okay, fine. I will take the cup. I will put it in. Just move on, you
Yeah.
know?
I don't even know that. I don't think my wife ever does that. Either that. Here's what I want to think about myself. I want to think that I am so magnanimous and so awesome that when she leaves stuff around, that I just like put it away for her and it goes around. But actually, what it is she probably just doesn't ever do that. And I'm probably the one leaving everything out. And she's getting mad at me.
You lost me at magnanimous
Yeah.
and awesome.
Yeah. See, the fantasy doesn't match the reality.
Exactly. Exactly.
So let's go into. So can we go into some of your history? Were your parents?
Sure.
They were divorced.
Yes.
So tell me about what your life was, if you feel comfortable sharing that. Like, tell me what it was like.
As a
did you-
kid?
Yeah. Did you live with your mom? Saw dad on the weekends? Like,
First, let's see.
and how old were you when they divorced?
I was 8. 8.
And then you had a sister?
Yeah.
How old was she?
She was 4.
4. Okay.
And when I was 8, for the first 4 years, I lived with my dad. My sister lived with my mom. That was the toughest part, I think, was being apart from my sister, living in 2 separate households like that.
Oh, so they split the kids?
Yeah, yeah.
They don't usually do that. Was it? Do you
That was
know
my-
if it was an agreement or if
That was actually my mom did that.
Okay.
My mom because when you're 8 years old, and you're your daddy's boy, when you're 8 years old, and I said if this is it's gonna happen, I'm gonna live with dad. And she said, okay. My mom was wise enough to say, he'll be back. And 4 years later, I said, you know what? And my dad didn't handle it very well. Went to live with my mom, and I lived with her until I moved out of the house.
What would have happened, do you think? I know I'm asking you to speculate, so this would not be admissible in court, but what do you think would have happened if your dad would have said no and not let you? Or
He did try that.
He did.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Not very well. We actually ended up in court with somebody of your profession on both sides, and
I hate having to do that.
there
by the
was,
way.
and this is when when you said what's the hard divorce?
Hard divorce. Yeah.
This was a hard custody
Yeah. battle,
to which I had to tell a judge, this is the decision I'm making at 12 years old, and it was tough. It was tough because my dad was one of these guys that didn't handle the divorce very well, and he didn't handle his son moving away from him very well.
What does that mean? didn't handle it? Did he get angry? Or
Oh yeah,
sad
very,
or-
very angry,
Okay.
very angry. Yeah, because I mean, I can putting myself in his shoes. He probably felt abandoned. He was losing his family, and I was the last vestige of a family. My parents had their own issues. That's why they didn't stay married. But I just made up my mind that's where I wanted to be. And
How did that go? Do you think it was the right choice?
I don't think I'd have been the man I am today if I'd stayed with my father. I think I'd have been a lot. I don't think I'd still be married because my father didn't have. I don't think he had good grounding and good lessons to teach
Interesting.
in that realm. Now, there's other things that he did teach me that were good. The work ethic. My dad worked with his hands all of his life, 30 years, same job. Said he would, if I ever became a telephone man, he was in communications. If I ever became a telephone man, he'd show up to my house every day and beat me over the head with a phone. He never wanted me to be what he was. He wanted better for me.
Oh.
He wanted me to go to college. I was the first to graduate from college in the family. So
Where'd you go?
San Diego State University. I'm an Aztec.
You're an Aztec.
I'm
huh?
an Aztec.
How is that not racist? And
I know,
how does
right?
that- how are you still? How's that still there now in California? They still.
Oh,
have they
I don't
changed
get
the
it.
mascot yet?
I don't know. I'm just waiting for we got to change the mascot.
Did they finally change like one of the
They
team
s-
mascots from the Chiefs? The one that was drawn.
Washington Redskins.
Redskins.
Yeah,
They're
that
now
was
the
drawn.
Washington
It was a
football
picture
team.
of an actual Indian chief drawn by an Indian chief.
Right. Yeah. It was
But that's
honoring
racist.
Native Americans.
It was honoring them.
It was honoring Native Americans to make sure that but in this politically correct culture, it was gone.
Yeah, I don't think it's politically correct.
That's where I got my love of football was from my dad. Love of sports from my dad.
Did you ever play football?
Yeah, played football until I was freshman, and then I stopped growing. Everybody else kept on going, and I got the crap kicked out of me. So I was like, I better start studying because apparently I'm not going to make it on a sports scholarship.
So I was in Judge Miskell's court talking to Chris Lee, who's the bailiff there, and he goes, "So my son's in 8th grade, and there's 8th graders that are my size or
Oh,
bigger."
yeah.
Oh,
He goes,
yeah.
They're 6'2", 220
Huge.
in 8th grade. And I'm going, how is that possible? What is it? Is diet or is it?
Some of it is
what?
parents keeping their kids back, so their kids will be bigger.
That's a thing, really?
It's
Oh, I bet that's a
totally
thing.
a thing.
Wow.
I was always so my birthday was like
Totally
within
a thing.
days of switching, and my parents wanted to get me because they thought I was smart and that would be good. I didn't particularly enjoy being the small kid.
Yeah.
And I would have athletically, I would have done a lot better, and I would have been a lot more successful, and not had to overcome some adversity because I was bullied. I was always the small one, and it really hurt my self-image for a while. And there was when we moved in 5th grade, that was tough for me. 8th grade was just a nightmare. I think 8th graders are the worst people on earth.
Yeah, I got bullied when I was in grade school because I
John
moved.
Mulaney joke, the 8th grade.
I moved from a small town to a bigger town, and I was the new kid. Was there for the last 3 or 4 months. This is when I went to live with my mom, and so they put me into a new school, and they didn't like the new kid very much.
Did you have an accent?
No,
I had an accent in 5th grade, and that just.
an accent for what?
So I've moved from New Orleans
Oh, so you had a
to
little
Texas.
bit of, yeah.
Oh, no, a little bit does not cover it. They couldn't understand a word I was saying.
Can you still do it?
I still avoid doing it.
Why? So you could be a voice actor.
I could.
Yeah. Can you pull it off though? Give me a couple sentences in your old accent.
Not gonna do it.
Really?
Yeah, not gonna do it.
Did that psychologically scar you? Really?
A little bit.
See, my dad didn't teach me Spanish because he was afraid I would have an accent.
Oh, interesting.
The 1970s, it was
Wow.
really a different time. There was a tremendous amount of pressure for those who were speaking Spanish and other languages to conform to the English language.
Yeah.
My dad could communicate equally well in both, and his English was
Do you
perfect.
speak Spanish now?
Everything I learned in high school.
Poquito?
Un acento bueno, but my vocabulary is bad. So I don't know my conjugation, or I can't speak it well enough. I can speak it well enough to get myself in trouble, to where any Spanish speaker would go, "Oh, you're not fluent," because my tense would be all wrong, my conjugation would be all wrong. So, but I'm able to speak it enough to have the proper accent. I know how I can read it and have the proper accent and know what I'm reading.
Okay.
So that all came from 4 years
Do you
of
speak Spanish with your dad, or is your dad still around?
no. Now my dad passed away. Was it now 13 years ago, 14 years ago? But no, we didn't speak Spanish in
Is
the
your
home.
mom still around?
Yeah, my mom's still around.
What does she think of all your success and your political leanings?
Oh, for a while there, she was kind of indifferent until the last 6 years. And then my parents had some sort of an awakening. They discovered the internet. And then all of a sudden they've just been gobbling up. I mean, to the point to where some of it's all the conspiracy stuff that's out there. They're munching on this, and it's like, no, guys, that's not the way it works. No, this is what's going. No, that's not the way it's going. Oh yeah, they're convinced that some of the. I mean, don't want to get into all the conspiracy theories, but suffice it to say, they discovered the internet.
Do they think that the world is flat?
No,
That's good.
no. Although I have seen a documentary that says
convinced you?
that is postulating that the world is indeed flat. You guys have got to watch it. That all the imagery that we have seen is it's the case. I'm watching it, and the science they're using, I go, that makes sense. So again, I'm not saying the world is flat. I'm just saying that they have
You can find and prove anything that you want to have confirmation bias for.
yeah.
You can find
On
it.
YouTube.
Yeah.
If you want to find that the world is flat, you can find proof.
I'm
If
censored
you
on YouTube, right?
Are you?
Oh yeah.
Are we going to be if we have you on?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I haven't said anything that's going to get you censored.
Okay.
Unless I tell you what I got censored
we
for.
are young enough and don't know the rules. I don't know. We talked about J6 and then the C pre-20.
Well, yeah, if you get into medical discussions
Yeah.
and you tell the truth about, like, for example, if you said something like I did, if you say something the CDC has published on their website and you say it,
Yeah.
And
that's crazy. And it's not politically
and they will silence you
expedient.
for it, even because YouTube won't take the time
Yeah.
to go and confirm what you're saying is true. They'll just say, oh, you're talking about medical things? You're off. I'm convinced YouTube is racist. You guys want to know why?
Yes.
Remember this guy showed up in New York, and he was in a subway, and he started opening fire on people. Do you guys remember this?
Yeah.
A couple months back?
Yeah.
He's a black man.
Mm-hmm.
And he had his content uploaded onto YouTube to where he was saying violence, hatred of white people, violence and hatred toward Asian people, violence and hatred toward Hispanics. His content stayed up there. The only time his content was taken down was after he opened fire. Now, turn to your liberty-loving
terrorists.
Yeah.
That are
Turn to your
on.
liberty-loving Latino here. I get a sitting congressman on to talk about actual verifiable data from the Dallas County website, voting data. I get another individual on to talk about medical issues and what the CDC is now putting on their website. And there was one other thing. And they start putting all these strikes against me. And finally, YouTube said, well, if you get one more of these strikes, I go, whoa, wait a minute. Everything I said was factually true, and I gave my opinion on that. What, opinions aren't allowed anymore? No, they're not on YouTube.
Wow.
So YouTube censored, they are seeking out liberty-loving Latinos like me. And they're allowing other guys who are expressing hatred and racism toward other races, this black guy, against other people. He's allowed to stay on until he opens fire. They're taking me down. And so after I got that notice, if you have one more strike, we're going to take out your account. I said, let me save you the trouble. And I'm off.
Where do you broadcast your podcast?
Well, there's all the major podcasts. It's not video, so it's all audio. So all the audio platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker.
I saw Blaze. Are you on Blaze?
I used to be, that's where I got my start. Glenn Beck gave me my start in talk radio. The Chris Salcedo Show was born
Oh, cool.
on the Blaze Radio Network. Always be indebted to Glenn for that.
That's awesome.
And you are the author of Liberty Rises,
Yes.
which is a great fiction book. And
That you have not read yet.
I have not read yet, but I will.
It's a great
And
book.
if you get an audiobook,
I will.
I literally am tempted to read this out loud for you as an audiobook because I'm going to read it. Although, and actually, you know what I might do is, and I used to do this in law school because you would have to read all this material, and so I would time how fast I'm getting through material, and then I could figure out, okay, when am I going to finish this, and am I going to finish this on time?
Do you pre-read and then read it out loud for the recording?
For this one?
Or would you just try to see?
I would just read it.
Let me see if I can knock this out.
So, what I would do is I would read it and go, all right, it's been an hour. How long have I gotten? And then how long will it take me to finish the rest of this book? And then I'll decide, am I going to finish this or not?
It's not particularly difficult.
No.
It's an easy read. It's an easy read.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's easy.
So yeah, I mean, I didn't get too sophisticated on it. It was supposed to be. I don't want to say I dumbed it down. I wanted people to have fun in a kind of a swashbuckling type adventure that had conservative themes woven through it.
Yeah.
That people would get.
100% agree with that. Yep. I liked it.
And I didn't get overly descriptive. I left holes, and maybe you experienced this because this is the first time I've actually sat down with somebody who actually read it all the way through. Mm-hmm. You. I left it up to you to paint the picture of what you saw. Like, let me give you an example. You're not going to know what this is. She's going to know what it is.
Okay.
Describe for me what a galleon is. What one of the galleons were. You remember one of those the ships, one of the galleons?
Yes.
What did it look like in your mind's eye?
Really large.
Like
big. Like a big
battleship?
Yeah, like a battleship.
That looked like what?
I don't know, like...
Was it a modern day?
No, it reminded me of something in the, like, back in, like, Pearl Harbor.
Okay, that type of, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how this is turning into a Rorschach test.
I know, right? This is cool.
Yeah.
What about the hover tanks? What did you envision them as looking like?
Something that has, like, a glass bottom.
Really?
Yeah.
I never mentioned a glass bottom.
Yeah.
Interesting.
She filled in the blanks, and that's how I wrote it because I wanted people to envision.
I want to read it even more now. It's got hover tanks.
Does it read like a movie script?
Yes.
Like you're watching a movie?
Yeah.
Have you talked to anybody about making this into a movie?
No, nobody's approached me. I would love to see it into a movie one day.
Are you going to make another or write another one?
I want to as soon as I get some time.
Yeah.
I really, because you know the ending.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give away the ending.
Don't give away the ending.
I don't want to give away the ending.
No.
So wide open, right, for a sequel. Mm-hmm. I'm just, that one took me, and it's a short book. Took me about 6 months to get that done.
How
with all my
much
work
time
schedule.
did you spend on it during the 6 months? Were you disciplined and routine with it, or just when you got a chance?
Whenever I had an opportunity, because of my schedule, whenever I had an opportunity, I would sit down and write. And so, and actually, my little girls were there with its creation, so I'd always read. I get through with the chapter and I'd read it to them. No, Daddy, I don't like that one. No, you gotta change that, Dad. I don't like that.
That's cute.
I find it fascinating that a kid could give you feedback on something like that.
Oh yeah, I raised my kids on sci-fi. So they were. I couldn't ask my wife, so I had to ask my kids because I raised them on.
That's brilliant.
Stargate SG-1, on the Super Friends, and all the stuff. I grew up with a kid, Voltron. You guys remember those?
Yeah.
Remember those? Yeah.
Now, I like the one with the tigers.
The lions.
The lions.
That's Voltron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But wasn't there another one? There was one with like a bunch of smaller ones that came together. There was 2 Voltrons, I thought.
Yeah, there were 2 Voltrons. There was a vehicle Voltron and the
Voltron
lions.
I didn't like. I like the lions.
Yeah, the lions. I love the lions. Yep.
Did you have one?
No, I couldn't afford one when I was a kid.
I had like one of them.
You had one of the lions?
I had one of the lions.
Yeah.
I think.
Robotech was also.
I loved Robotech.
Robotech was awesome.
You know what? I was very emotionally invested in Robotech, and I never finished them. And
what?
I never got to finish them.
So you saw Macross, which was the first installment, right?
Maybe
the SDF one, and
he remembers this way
the
better
Holocaust. You want the funny story about this? And this is going to be an anime discussion, so just hang on. This is geekiness coming out.
Yeah. Hashtag nerds.
Yes, nerds. Okay, so there was a golden age of anime coming to America. Battle of the Planets, G-Force was one of the Speed Racer.
Oh, I remember
back when
Speed
we were
Racer.
coming up as
yeah.
kids, right?
I love Speed Racer.
Yeah, these were dubs.
That's why I have a Corvette.
Yeah, and they were all edited because the originals from Japan were so much better.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So
But-
there's Japanese versions of Speed Racer?
yes, and of Battle of the Planets.
I have to see this.
Who voiced?
Japanese versions are so much better. Like the
So
original,
You've seen it too?
Okay, the original edit of Voltron was originally called Go Lion,
Yeah.
and it's funny because remember how like, the princess takes over for the one lion.
Yes.
Sven's lion.
They kill Sven in the Japanese.
killed
version.
him.
They kill him, but because they couldn't kill him here, they had him like go. He went somewhere, and they brought his twin brother back in another episode. But they said that was Sven. Like it's crazy the changes they had to make here.
Same thing with
gotta see this.
Gatchaman is what it was called in Japan. It was called Battle of the Planets here. Sandy Frank bought those rights and made G-Force. I don't know if you remember who these people
remember
were.
that
The voice of the lead character, the commander of the force, was Casey Kasem.
Oh, Casey Kasem.
Shaggy, too.
Shaggy, yeah, he voiced Shaggy. Casey Kasem was Mark, the leader, and
you remind me a little bit of Casey
I
Kasem.
get that.
Yeah,
And now
I
it's
can
time
see
for
that.
our long distance dedication. I'm Casey Kasem.
He's got it. I mean,
I'm Casey Kasem.
dude, you could play Casey Kasem in a movie.
Yeah. So anyway, back to Robotech. The 3 Robotech sagas were actually over in Japan, individual series that were not related whatsoever.
No kidding.
They took them over here to America, wove a storyline, integrated all of them into 3 generations of robotechnology,
Oh,
and
wow.
made and created an American story around 3 different series over in Japan.
Now I gotta watch all of these. I gotta have to watch the American version and the Japanese version.
Yeah, and by the
And
way,
I think I'm okay with that.
You're going to see a lot more violence over. They didn't have the hang-ups that we did back in the 1970s and 80s for animation, and it's really I don't know if that's good or bad, but because I really enjoyed the heck out of them anyway. So, yeah. So I brought all the kids. The kids know all the 80s stuff like Thundercats and all that
yeah.
stuff. My
Oh,
kids.
My
yeah.
kids too.
Oh, yep.
man, I wish Summer was here because she might be my Thundercat.
So anyway, my kids were my soundboard, and my girls know what a P90 is.
okay, I know what a P90X is, but what's a P90?
P90 is not a very effective rifle used by the United States Air Force. It was part of Stargate.
Oh, wow.
So they grew up watching a whole bunch of Air Force Special Forces in this. By the way, something you may not know, Richard Dean Anderson, who played Colonel Jack O'Neill in SG-1,
Yeah.
was given an honorary commission into the United States Air Force because of his work on SG-1.
Wow.
Yeah, they made him an honorary. They gave him an honorary
So
officer's
there's
title.
hope for me to possibly get in the military. I just
Yeah.
need to get an honorarium.
Yeah, and because
Of something.
the Air
Go
Force,
USA.
the Air Force was consulting. They had actual Air
wow.
Force, and there was actually an Air Force general who played himself
Oh, cool.
in Stargate.
Very cool.
It was So my girls grew up on this kind of stuff. So and Stargate had a lot of influence on that, as did Atlas
This
Shrugged.
is the only political-ish type of fantasy fictional sci-fi. that
No,
I think I may have ever heard of.
because Battlestar Galactica, the original.
Was that a book or a TV?
It was TV series.
show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It-
Battlestar Galactica was.
With
Yeah.
Lauren Green as Commander Adama and Richard Hatch as Apollo
And
Dirk
Aaron
Benedict.
Gray?
Yeah, Dirk. No, Aaron Gray was Buck Rogers.
Oh, that's Buck Rogers.
You
Yeah.
Yeah.
and my husband would get along
Oh
so
yeah.
well.
We need to.
Dirk Benedict.
I think you should just call Daniel, have him come here, pull up a chair, Rick. Now we do it at a round table. Hey, did you see this wall back here?
Yeah,
You know what that is?
it's a Starfield.
Yeah. It's a Star Wars background. It's a
Nice.
Star. Yeah.
I dig that.
We haven't started this yet, but we've got the wall there ready, and we're gonna do like kind of a nerdcast type of
The final
podcast.
frontier.
Yes, we'll have you back
Make it so. Number one. Engage.
because he's more encyclopedic knowledge than. Oh yeah.
I know. Yeah, right?
So her husband paid for law school by selling his toys.
Yes.
Get out.
So my husband.
He had originals.
He collects like 1980s. So he has
When he was a kid, he would always get two.
He has Steak
one to play
Mountain.
with and one to keep preserved.
Why didn't I do that? Why?
Well,
See,
but some of this now he's just bought, but he's got like
Now he
Castle
just buys it
Grayskull.
too. Yeah.
Castle Grayskull.
Yeah.
He's got
He-Man.
He's
Yes.
got Snake Mountain.
Wow.
He's got what is it? Megatron.
That's a
He's got-
transformer.
Yeah.
He's got
That's
Optimus
a
Prime.
Optimus
He's
Prime.
got Optimus Prime. He's in
Optimus
search for
Prime. He
Megatron.
wants Megatron,
He
that's
can't
right.
find a clean,
I used to
a
have
good
a
box
Megatron,
Megatron
too.
yet.
You had a Megatron?
Oh yeah.
I
But
never
you know
could
those things
afford
are like 20 or 30 grand now.
an original Megatron.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like his
probably
are
more,
in
actually.
cases and they're graded.
Wow.
Yes.
And lot numbered and all that kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
stuff.
Oh yeah.
Serialized. The
Yes.
comic book community knows that he has that it's like they're like NFTs now.
Battlestar Galactica was one season, the original, and there were very pro-American themes
Oh, cool.
and very conservative themes in Battlestar Galactica. You can buy the whole box set. It's one season, and Glenn Larson made wonderful effects because special effects at the time were so expensive. So they made, and you guys probably have watched documentaries on this, how they reused stock footage throughout every episode they made. Even back then, they had no CGI technology, so it was $1 million an episode.
Wow.
Battlestar Galactica was
That's a lot of money for back then.
back then. It was number one on their time slot, and they got canceled
Oh.
because it was because
Yeah.
it was so expensive.
Oh,
but
well, yeah.
there was one scene, and I always hearken because some of it was an inspiration to Liberty Rises. If you know the story of Battlestar Galactica, mankind suffers a Holocaust at the hands of a machine race called Cylons, right?
Oh yeah.
So the
I've actually watched the new version that came out like in the
watch the
2000s or
original.
whatever.
So much
Okay.
better. The
Okay,
original
cool.
was so much. I don't want to poo-poo the 4 seasons of the new one because they did a lot of good things there too. But if you want like a swashbuckling fun,
Yeah.
watch the first season.
Okay.
So the humanity's on the run, and there was a part where the new Quorum of the 12, which was their Congress, got together, and they said, "There's a guy named Sire Yuri, who was played by, and I can't remember the actor's name, but he played in Silver Spoons. He was the grandpa in Silver Spoons, I think. Anyway, no, it wasn't Ernest Borgnine, but." Who played Sire Yuri, if you guys want to look that up, in the original Battlestar Galactica? The actor's name, he was a wonderful actor. He was the liberal. And he said, you know what we have to do? We must lay down our arms. So we could prove to the Cylons, remember, they had their whole race annihilated and they were on the run trying to find Earth, the lost 13th tribe. We must lay down our arms so that we're not a threat anymore. And Commander Adama, who is the conservative and a battle-tested commander, you've got to be out of your mind. And this is the discussion that we had with terrorism. Liberals in this country are like, well, we just got to disarm and then we won't be a threat to anybody.
It's John Houseman.
John Houseman, Sire Yuri, great actors. Lauren Green was a great actor, great acting. And back then, the good guys were the conservatives who said, no, we're not going to lay down our arms. We need to defend ourselves. And especially after you lose the big one, you're not going to disarm yourself. So, yeah, traditional sci-fi has always had its roots in conservatism because it was pro-American back in the day. Hollywood used to be pro-American, and so that's kind of trying to resurrect that, too, in Liberty Rises.
Perfect.
I noticed you're checking your watch. I know.
Well,
you got to get dinner
Oh,
on or
no,
get dinner ready?
It's your wife. She's been texting me.
My
Oh.
wife is texting you.
Yes, she says you'll have dinner
What time is it?
reservations at 5:45. It's
Oh, we
almost-
do?
Where are we all going?
It's not 5.
You're welcome to go. Hey, if you want to go, you're welcome. We're going to Texas. Have you ever been to a Texas restaurant?
No, I never have.
So it's at
Oh, so good.
Jupiter and George Bush. Basically 75 and George Bush.
Called Texas?
Yeah. So I'll give you the history of steakhouses in Dallas. You ever been to Bob's?
Yeah.
Okay, so it used to be Bob and Dell's, and Dale Wamstad is
The owner of
his
Del
nickname is
Frisco
Dell.
back
Del
in the
Frisco.
day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened was Dale came from New Orleans, and he went into partnership with Bob, and it was Bob and Dell's, and
they didn't make it after 6 months.
yeah. So after 6 months, it was then just Bob's, and
They went their separate
and they
ways.
went they parted ways.
Bob took the location on Lemon, and then Dell went.
Same
Well-
thing happened to Mercury Chop House over in Fort Worth and in Arlington. Same, split apart, different owners. Still call themselves the
You
Mercury
ever been
Chop
there?
House.
I haven't been there.
It's great, great stuff,
Cool.
great food.
So then Dale went and built Del Frisco. And you can't trust these numbers because there's all kinds of rumors. But then the rumor is he sold Del Frisco's for $25 million and built Three Forks. Sold Three Forks for $50 million and then built the Silver Foxes. Sold the Silver Foxes and then built Texas.
Wow.
And Dale owns that whole segment of land over there from like Jupiter, possibly all the way up to 75. But he owns the land that hotel's on. He owns the office complex. The guy's got a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been shot by an ex-wife,
Dang.
Oh, geez.
which is an interesting story that you can tell he has a lot
Well,
of
he
trauma still.
recently got into the Steakhouse Hall of Fame. Did you know they created that?
I didn't know there was a steakhouse Hall of Fame.
Well, when are you going to have him on your
He probably
podcast?
invented it. You know, I should. I definitely should.
You should have.
I'll ask him.
That's a
I'll
hell
ask
of a
him to do it
story to
tonight.
tell.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to tune in and see you say, so you got shot by your wife.
Yeah, that's probably how I'll say it too.
How'd that go?
It hurt.
You're still alive.
Yeah, she
If you're ever in Houston, Taste of Texas.
Taste of Texas.
It's a individual owned. I know the owner had the job that I have now in Houston on the morning show on KSEV. He was the one that was in my seat before then. His name's Ed Hendy. Wonderful human being, wonderful man. Taste of Texas. It is a unique dining experience you do not want to miss next time you're in Houston.
Yeah. Perfect.
Well, Chris, thank you so much
Thank you
for
guys.
being on the show. It's great.
coming.
Great to
Thank you
spend
so
time.
much for allowing me to be late.
Oh, that,
Oh, no worries.
we did a show with Greg
Yeah, we
about
talked
his two Emmys,
His new Emmy. That he
and
got. Yeah.
so
Great.
you can find that one and this episode and other episodes on the next episode
Of the
of the
Lawyer
Lawyer Dana
Dana
podcast.
podcast.
Like, subscribe, give some comments, tell us what you liked. If you have some suggestions about sci-fi shows that we should watch, because I've written all these down, and how do you get the Japanese versions of them? Like, where do you find those? Where do you watch them? Do you have them? You have to go to your house?
Well, yeah, I don't have any of the Japanese versions. They are attainable with subtitles. And anime's huge over here. I think Amazon has a library you can just watch online if you have Prime.
Cool.
Okay.
But none of those titles that we mentioned. But maybe through those channels you can find a way.
Yeah.
Well, if we find them, we'll stick them in the links of this later down the road. But
Ta-da.
Chris, thanks so much,
Yeah,
and we'll look
thank
forward to
you.
seeing you. Your show 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, 3 to 4 on Central Time, and
On Newsmax.
on Newsmax.
Yep. And then in the morning, KSEV on 7 o'clock in the morning to 9 Central.
And Liberty Rises, great book.
Yes.
And
Go purchase it today.
there might be an audio version of this read by yours truly. There'll be at least an hour worth of me reading this
That's gonna be
to
awesome.
see how far I can get, and I'm either going to give up on it or maybe I'll get the whole thing done. And
Dude,
then,
if you can do that, you'd be doing me a solid. That'd be great.
Are you thinking how are you going to have time for that?
I've given up.
Perfect. Then I've trained Jennifer right, and we'll see you on the next episode of the
Go with
Lawyer Dana
God.
podcast.
Bye.
The Lawyer Dana Podcast.